5 Live.
Afternoon edition with Sarah Brett and Dan Walker.
Right then, time to bring you our promised interview with the Proclaimers, who've written some of the most recognisable songs of recent times. Today, Charlie and Craig Reid released their 10th studio album.
It's called Let's Hear It for the Dogs, and they've been telling us how they came up with the album's name.
The title is a line from one of the songs on the record. The song is called What School? And What School is a song about a phrase that used to be used a lot in the west of Scotland, not so much now. But it used to be, somebody used to ask you, what school did you go to? Which actually meant, are you a Catholic or a Protestant? It was a kind of, I suppose, kind of weasel phrase, but it was a kind of supposedly nice way of saying it. And somebody from west of Scotland used that phrase to me over a year ago in a kind of ironic thing. It's talking about living in England, and they said it's none of that. What school did you go to? And I thought, oh, I'll use that. So I built the song around there. And Let's Hear It for the Dogs, it's kind of contrasting the way that people can feel each other out or sniff each other out, and dogs actually sniff each other out. So that's really what that song's about. So the title Let's Hear It from the Dogs is from that song.
And was that an easy title for the whole album to settle on?
It was appropriate. Yeah, it seemed to be the best one. It's the best one we could come up with at the time, you know.
Is that a peculiarly Scottish or Northern Irish thing more than it is an English thing or a Welsh thing?
I think so. I think people used to say Liverpool was maybe a bit similar in the old days, but I think it died out there as well. Only, I think pretty much the Glasgow area, Edinburgh a wee bit, but more the Glasgow area, Ayrshire and Lanarkshire and that in Scotland, it's maybe still hanging on a little bit. But I think, thank goodness, because there's been so many people married out of their own faith, Catholics marrying Protestants over the years, that it's broken down a lot, and hopefully it's going.
Yeah, does it still affect football though quite a lot, do you think?
The football, and it's interesting the fact that Rangers and Celtic have made different divisions the last few years, so that's cut down the kind of build up, the tension that used to take place before these games that were certainly in years gone by really Celtic being Catholic against Rangers were Protestant. Again, that's changed a little bit, but the edge is not gone, and the fact they've been in separate leagues, when they're back in the same league again, I'm sure the games will recommence.
Return, yeah.
And I don't mean the football.
You have the interesting situation in Northern Ireland where people will support their local club, then they'll support either Rangers or Celtic, and then they'll support an English team as well, the Premiership team as well.
There you go.
So it's a strange bag, isn't it?
But Hibs currently ahead of Rangers, though, in the Scottish
Hibs
Championship.
are just one of what they are. Amazingly, they are looking to be in the playoff place, so they're in one of the playoff places. So whether they'll come up or not, I don't know. They slipped out of the league last season, the top league, because they capitulated to Hamilton in the last kick of the game in the playoffs last season, and I was there to witness every moment of it. So let's see if they can restore it this year. It's been a long way back, I have to say.
I'd like to talk to you a bit more about Hibs a little later on, but we've done so we've got Scotland, touched on Ireland, done England, and you recorded
Wales?
this in rural South Wales.
The Isle of Man will be next, I'm sure. Yeah, we did this in Monmouth at a studio called Rockfield, which has been going on for decades now. So this is the third album we've done there. First album we've done with this producer Dave Ehringer. So, but it's always good to go back there. It's just about a mile out of the town, so you can walk into Monmouth and get a cup of coffee or go for a pint or something, but you're actually out in kind of farmland, so it's very relaxing.
And Oasis have recorded there, Manic, Simple Minds, Coldplay. Is it an inspiring place to do your business?
It's a good place to do it. I think this record, we had, I think, just under 2 weeks to record it, and I think we just gave ourselves enough time. There was no, if anything had gone wrong, I think we wouldn't have done it.
No wriggle room.
No, but we had the kind of routine in the whole thing in Edinburgh, so everybody knew what they were doing, so we did as much live as we could, so the guys got all the backing tracks done in 5 days. So.
I've always been interested in that idea of a specific studio in a specific place that creates its own magic, and I wondered if it was kind of a little bit fanciful, but then I'm sure it's probably not if you're doing it.
I think it's not, and what is interesting is that there's so few studios now, so few studios and then so few residential studios.
Right.
So they're just hanging on there at Rockfield and doing a great job. A lot of it's the room, right? They've got a couple of great live rooms there, so you can set everybody up and play. I know a lot of people who make records now, you can make it in your own bedroom digitally, and everything's done separately. But for us, if you can get everybody eyeballing each other in the room, it makes a better sound, I think.
And so talk us about the the way that this album went and recording there and just the feel that you wanted to get from it. Charlie, if I start with you.
Yeah, we started off, we knew the studio, obviously, we'd done it twice here, but we'd never worked with Dave Erringer before. Now, obviously, as you said, he's done the Manics and stuff. The album that brought him back into our attention was the thing he did with Wilco Johnson, and we just thought the vocal sound on that, where Roger Daltrey's vocals were just so good, and it's such a live sound. And it was a friend of mine from Birmingham who said, look, check it out for, maybe for the next record. So thank you, Steve Shaw from Birmingham, formerly of Dixie's Minute Runners. Thank you very much for the recommendation, because it was great. And we met up with Dave. He's a real high energy guy, a rock producer. We're not a rock band, we're a rock and roll band, we're not a rock band, if you know what I mean. So, but we met up. He didn't change that much of what we've been doing on the routines. So we just sat up in the room, set the band up, and the band was all finished in 4 or 5 days, which shows how quickly it went,
There's one song on the new album that's got a lot of publicity about child abuse at the BBC. There's one line in it which I'm sleeping soundly in my bed because Jimmy Savile's still dead. Now, was that a big decision to decide to write about that? And have you been surprised at the publicity?
The song is called Then Again. It's not actually specifically about the BBC, it's about the whole lot. It's about the BBC, it's about Westminster. It's about police, security services, MPs.
When you were all growing up as well.
And others like it wasn't a difficult decision for me to do it, because I knew nobody else was going to tackle it, and I think you should be able to tackle almost anything in a song, and I think it captures some of what I think about it, but I actually couldn't capture all of what I think about it. I couldn't put it in a song. It's too confusing, and it seems to be growing bigger almost by the week and becoming more distressing, but I'm glad that I wrote the song. I'm glad that we recorded it. But as I say, we always look for different subject matter, and this is certainly a subject matter that even somebody who wrote a varied number of songs wouldn't touch. But I think everybody's talking about it. So why would you not write about it?
It forms a culture in Britain so much. As you say, when we were kids, we were born in '62. So people that have come to the fore through radio or through TV, who become involved massively through the political thing, it makes you think differently about your country, really. It makes you think about what was going on, and it makes you wonder if the conspiracy theorists, who I always dismissed over the years, maybe had a point.
Craig, you say it's hard to sort of find the emotions when you write about that. What is your overriding emotion? Is it anger? Is it frustration? Confusion?
It's confusion. It was anger. It was incredulity.
It's not meant to be done in a folky way or a disturbing way. It's meant to sound, I suppose, in a way it sounds like a 70s pop tune. So maybe it's more effective that way. But as you say, you've got to listen to the words to get it.
Are you guys still working in a 3-year cycle? So
pretty much, yeah.
How so? Are you quite rigid about that? Do you just find it works for you?
I think we had a couple of periods where we didn't put records out. Since about 2000, 2001, we've got into this way of working. I think it can only work if you can come up with new songs, and I've found that the only way I can do that is basically set aside 8, 9, 10 months and write every single day, even if it's 1.5 hours, 2 hours, and you don't get anything. Most days I don't get anything, but I think that the way I've found is that you push yourself a wee bit, not too much, but just do it consistently. And if you do that, you can generally come up with an album in 9 or 10 months, which is what happened here. And then so you record it, and then you back out for another 18 months. And
sounds like a man going to war.
I think as you get older, we're 53 now. I think we enjoy doing this maybe even more than we did before. And there's only a certain number of years that you will be able to do it to the best of your abilities. So I think that pushes you on a wee bit as well.
And in terms of what you write about, we're talking about this outside, the death of the protest song to a certain extent, but it doesn't happen that much anymore. Why is it so important for you both? I think
it's important that we always, as I said earlier, we get varied subject matter. I think with us, the lyrics are more important than the tune, I think. So we want to look for different subjects that either we've never heard discussed in a pop song or very rarely, and I think it's important that we do that.
Should we hear a bit from the new album?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. This is the opening song. This is The Proclaimers and You Built Me Up.
Was all black, and I fell into despair. I fell into despair. The whole world was on my back.
I love watching you watching it. It's brilliant. Craig, you're nodding away. It's still good. It's still okay.
That's it. When you start doing, we put a record out and you start doing radio interviews, that's a bit of a litmus test to me. When you actually hear your own song back through radio, then that's when you think, yeah, we did it
sounded
all
right. Did it? Sounded good.
It's got to sound right on radio, so that's what they're made for. Yeah.
Charlie, what about that song? Tell us a bit more about it.
I think it's just one of those songs that hopefully it's uplifting, and hopefully it deals with it with an idea that someone, when you're in some sort of torpor and some sort of depression, someone that's got the personality or got the vibe about them can help you get out of it. In the end, you only get out of it yourself, but someone can lift you a little. It feels like that way,
You say you're in your 50s, Craig, now, and you're still doing the business. You obviously still enjoy working together. Yeah. Have you ever considered going off and doing something on your own?
No.
Neither of you?
No, never.
It always seemed logical we would do it together, and we started off and we were an acoustic duo. I mean, we only had the guitar and the two of us singing on the first record, Went touring with the House Martins in 86 and we got the deal as a result of that. And for the next sort of 18 months, we just toured acoustically. Then we decided we were going to do the record, the Sunshine and Lath record, and put musicians on it. After we'd done Letter from America, obviously, with Jerry Rafferty. But it kind of, because we'd spent so much time working it together, well, this is the act, isn't it? It's the two of us.
Can I ask you something? Dan mentioned your age there a minute ago. You both still sing like you're 18. You sing hard.
Yeah.
Do you find any wear and tear now when you're touring?
No. I think the only thing, if you keep doing it, I think you for some reason you just learn to control your voice a little bit better. So you do damage it, but I think you learn as you get older not to push it maybe so hard, or to just balance it up a little bit. But I think the one thing is the recovery periods between the shows. It's a physical thing. That's where you know your age. That not when you're on stage, but when you come back after a week or something. And we played Australia 3 or 4 years ago and came back, and it took me about 2 months to recover.
Really?
It was, I had never felt anything like it in my life.
Presumably
old man syndrome.
Presumably that's without the rock and roll lifestyle as well. You were in bed at 10.
You've got to cut it back a little. We still have a drink after the gigs. I won't lie to you. We do drink after the gigs, but we don't. We try to cut it back a little bit now, so the voice is preserved.
I just have one other question about the singing together and the brothers thing. What is it, do you think? Is it a physical, like a DNA thing that makes brothers or sisters or families sound so perfect together when they sing harmonies? Like the Everly brothers.
I think it is a physical thing. I think it is. I don't think it's obviously there's an understanding if you're growing up together, there's that as well, that helps. But I think it is a physical thing. Yeah.